Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Hey, John, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. It's good to actually have you on the show again.
Hell yeah.
So, hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. For tonight's podcast, I actually have Mike Perkins with me again. We're actually going to be doing our Mafia Talks Monday. I'm calling it as Mafia Talks Monday, and this is actually going to be our review for The Departed. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we do as doing this review. So, I just want to say welcome again to the
Oh
show.
yeah.
And, you know, I really have to say I like this movie a lot. This movie came out in 2006 in September. I did not see this movie in theaters though. This movie actually had a budget of 90 million. It actually made 291.5 million. It was a remake of Infernal Affairs. If you guys do not know that, it's actually a foreign film. And then Mark Scorsese went on ahead and wrote the script out for The Departed. Not only that, but with the Infernal Affairs um, movie and everything too, they actually had a fight for the rights to actually have that back in '04. I don't know if you
No,
knew
I
that or
didn't know
not.
that. I didn't know that. Ah,
Yeah, anytime whenever they want to do a remake or whatever, they have to ask permission from other companies.
mhm.
So therefore, they were actually on hold for a while from 2004, and then finally they were able to do this movie in I want to say in '05 or probably mid
Oh,
'04.
okay. But yeah,
So
this was
this
definitely one of my favorites for sure.
mine too, because I love mafia films. Mark Scorsese is the best when
Oh
it comes
yeah,
down to mafia
hands
related
down for
films.
sure.
He did
Yeah,
Goodfellas, The Irishman, not so much, but that's just the CGI
right,
aspect of it. But as for the storytelling in itself, I really
right. Me
enjoyed
too.
it. But this movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Billy Coxton. You also have Matt Damon as Colin. You have Jack Nicholson as Frank Costello, Mark Wahlberg as Denham, Martin Sheen as Queenan, and then of course Vera Farmiga as Madeline. And then you also have Alec Baldwin in this
Yep,
movie as
yep.
well.
I really liked. I liked everybody in it, but Mark Wahlberg was great in it, even though he had such a small part. I thought he did great.
I love Mark Wahlberg's part in this movie as well. And I love how this movie actually starts off, to be honest with you. I like how, you have Frank Costello explaining the division within Boston in
Hmm.
itself, about how one side was Irish, the other part was
Right.
Italian, and that's actually how it was back in
Yeah,
those days
yeah,
and everything. And then it was all about him, how certain people say, well, you have to go out and earn it rather than take it. But with Costello's philosophy is you need to just go out and take
yeah.
it.
No, I don't know this or not. I'm asking. Is Frank Costello actually supposed to be somebody? Like, or is that just a made up character?
It's just a made up
Okay,
character. This is not based off of any
it's
true
not.
events
Okay,
or anything
yeah,
like that.
okay, yeah. I thought that maybe he was based off of a
Which
real character.
no, this is actually just a movie on its own. Martin Scorsese just saw that it was an opportunity to do a remake of Infernal
Hmm.
Affairs, and that's what
Right,
he
right.
did.
Okay, yeah.
And right,
But yeah, great.
but I thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
good.
solid.
Yeah,
It's
most
definitely a
definitely.
solid film for sure.
Definitely a solid film. Another thing too is, like I said, with the aspects of you have Matt Damon's character Colin coming up from an early age when he first meets Frank Costello, Jack Nicholson's character, and I like how Jack Nicholson is introduced into this kid's life,
Yeah.
and it's kind of has a Goodfellas kind of flavor to it because he goes, "Oh, you must be so and so's boy," and then next thing you know it. He winds up buying the kid comic books,
Oh yeah.
bread, everything that they
Yep.
need to eat.
Oh yeah. Yep. And see, my favorite character, obviously, is Leonardo DiCaprio. But everybody did such a good job in this movie, man. Everybody did. Jack Nicholson was brilliant, just like he is in shit every movie I've ever seen him in. But but the small parts like Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg, they play really good together. You know what I'm saying? Like the little back
Yeah.
and forth that they do. That was that was good.
Oh yeah. How's your mother? She's good after fucking your father. and or something like, it was just something like that. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
paraphrasing, but I love the
yeah.
back and
I
forth
love
between
that.
them
Yep,
too.
yep. And then when Mark Wahlberg's talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's like, he makes a fart noise, and he says, "What's wrong, cocksucker? You don't know any Shakespeare?" Yeah.
I love that. And then also too, I like how he breaks it down to Leonardo DiCaprio though too. Is like, look, you're never going to be a statey. You're never going to be someone that is going to be
Right,
a cop. You can appear to be a cop, but you're not going to
right,
be a full
right.
blown cop because of the family background that he actually comes from, which is not Leonardo
Yeah, right,
DiCaprio's fault. He just wants to get out of the life that he's actually in, which is his
right. And
parents' life. He doesn't
right.
want
And
to be
what
the
was perfect
outcast.
for him is that he actually played both roles anyway. He was the good kid, with his mom, and then when he went to his dad's on the weekends, he turned into the bad kid. So he knew how to play both roles.
He definitely did. He definitely had that switch
Right.
between the two of them, especially when someone passes away
Mm-hmm.
in their family and everything. You see that little role that
Yeah.
he's actually doing, especially at the
Mm-hmm.
funeral and
Yep.
stuff. Uh, but I also like the fact that we don't have no credits at the very beginning or anything like that. All we have is dialogue with Jack
Mm-hmm.
Nicholson character, then the introduction to Frank Costello with Matt Damon as a
Right.
early age, and then it rolls into Matt Damon being a rat
Mm-hmm.
for Costello, and then it shows him going through his whole entire deal where he's actually training to be a cop, trying to get where he wants to be, and then finally he's actually done
Mm-hmm.
graduating. And then it also shows Leonardo DiCaprio going through the academy, going through the same procedures that
Right.
Matt Damon went through, but he's going through it with a more cleaner slate than what
Right.
Matt Damon's character
Right.
is, which is
Right.
Colin.
Yep.
So what did you think
I
of that?
like the way they did that. I mean, it was perfect, because it got to show us, the beginning of both, Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio's careers, at how they got to where they were, and I thought that was brilliant how they did it both at the same time to show us, both characters' story at the same time, so that way, because if they did it separate times, that would have ate up a lot of the movie. So I think they did a good
Right.
job on that. I mean, I could see where it would be confusing if you're not really paying attention. Like, well, is this the same time period? Like, what the hell is this? Because they don't really explain it. There's no lead up to it. They kind of just go into it. But I enjoyed that. I thought it was great. I thought they
Right.
did it good.
This is my assumption on it. Was this? I thought that it was maybe a couple of months after
Yeah,
Damon graduated that Leonardo DiCaprio
that's what it looks like to
graduated.
me. Yeah, me too.
Because Matt Damon probably graduated a year ahead of him.
Right.
He's just a year behind. Because we actually see that a little bit when Billy is just in the waiting area, and then, of course, Matt Damon
Mm-hmm.
Colin comes out and then enters
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio. So I like how they actually pass each other
Mm-hmm.
in the
That was
hallway
good.
and don't even realize that
That's
they're going
right.
to be connected
Yep. That
later
was
on.
good. That was good. But yeah, I do like how they like showed it at the same time is what I'm saying. How they showed both, both of them going through
Mm-hmm.
the academy and all that shit. So that way we can get through that part and get to the good shit. You know what I'm saying? So like they kind of just,
Right.
put it both in at the same time, and I thought that was good.
I thought so too, to be honest with you. That was really good. I also like how, like I mentioned before, with the start of the credits, you expect it at the very
Yeah.
start of the film.
Yeah.
Then, as soon as Queen tells him, "Look, you're not going to be a cop. You're not going to be a statey. This is the ballpark that we're dealing with. You're just going to be someone that's going to appear like a cop, but you're
Right.
not going to be
Right.
a cop. So you're going to be undercover. We're going to go on ahead, give you the
Mm-hmm.
shrink. We're going to go on ahead and put you in jail for a little misdemeanor or whatever to make it look like
Mm-hmm.
you did some time. And then when you get out, that's when you're going to start making some noise with
Right.
Costello's crew."
Right. And he had the perfect. His whole story was perfect because he already has, anger problems. So that's gonna, help his story, saying that he got kicked out of the academy because he's got anger issues and shit. And then, he has family members that are already committing crimes, that are already selling drugs and doing shit like that. So he can link up with them, and that gives him a leg up to get into, Costello's crew. So I thought that was cool too.
I thought so too. I thought that was actually
Mm-hmm.
perfectly well done. I also like how he's in jail. And then of course the Dropkick
Oh
Murphys
yeah,
music comes on with
yeah.
"I'm
Every
Shipping Out
time
to
I hear that song, I
Boston."
want to put my head through the wall. Yeah, I love it.
Really?
I
I
love it
love
too.
that
I
song.
want to beat somebody's
Yeah.
ass when I hear it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I got you. I got you. Because I
no,
thought it
yeah.
was because when you said you wanted to put your head through the wall, I thought
No,
that
I
you
didn't
meant
like it. Yeah,
like you wanted
no,
to.
I love it.
Right.
It makes me want to put my head through the wall with joy.
Okay, okay, I got you. Because here's the thing. That's my first introduction into the
Mhm.
Dropkick Murphys. Because I never heard of them until this movie, and then all
Yep,
of a sudden I became
yep,
a fan of
same,
their
same
music.
here. Same thing here.
And I really love this. As a matter of fact, they're actually from
Oh
Boston.
yeah, yeah.
And I want to say this, though, too. They actually captured the Boston accents really
Yeah.
well. Being someone from Boston, that's actually my little
Yeah,
nitpick thing.
and I think Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg are actually from Boston, if I'm not right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're actually from
okay,
Boston.
yeah.
So they actually did great with the accent. So did Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought that he actually captured the
Hmm.
Boston accent as well. Because whenever they do movies in Boston, like Hocus Pocus and
Hmm.
other films, I'm paying attention to the dialogue because, okay, if you're from Boston, you don't say
Right.
car, you say car.
Park the
You know,
car
you
in
don't
the
pronounce your
yard.
R's. Right, or like fucking quias, like Matt Damon says about the fire department
Or
inside the movie as well.
that's totally pissa. Pissa. Wicked
Yeah,
pissa.
wicked pizza, that means
Right,
like
right.
wicked awesome. But, you know, yeah, we have our own little dialogue up in Boston, though, our own little slang. Like, liquor store is actually called
Oh
the
no shit.
Pocky.
Okay.
The Packy. Yeah. But, anywho, the little
Yeah,
side note
right.
about me. But, you know, I thought they actually did a good job with the Boston accents. And then, of course, the back and forth with Alec Baldwin's character and also, too, with Mark Wahlberg as
Yeah. Oh
well
yeah.
was
For
good.
sure. For sure.
And then Queenan is also agreeing with Mark Wahlberg's character, saying, "Hey, look, you're never going to be a cop. You're
Hmm.
never going to do this." But also, here's the thing: I like Matt Damon's character for what it is. I like the fact that when he knocks on the door, and then all of a sudden you see Costello's car moving,
Yeah.
and the woman all of a sudden goes, "Literally,
Hmm.
go fuck
Yep.
yourself." And he looks at his partner. Did you get that? Literally, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Got
Yep. Oh yeah. That was. Yeah. That was a good part.
it. But it just goes to show you the level of the whole entire gangster image with Jack Nicholson, the power that he
Hmm.
has over people. And that's actually something that was believable, something that I was wondering about whenever I first watched it, was the fact that, is this going to actually capture that magic of a gangster? And he
Oh
does it
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah. For sure. For sure.
What else did that actually
What
stood out
stood
for
out for
you?
me? Um, I would have to say that you know, Matt Damon. Even though I didn't really care for his character too much because of the choice, you know, because he's going in as a cop and he's actually a gangster, and I don't like that, but he played it well. You know, he played it very good, and the way the way he acts, like how he's conflicted at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really good. The way he did that was great. You know, hmm
Right.
like he
I
made
like
me
that too.
from he took me from not liking him to actually liking him, and you know at the end, you know, like I was like, oh shit, like I was kind of feeling bad for him, and for him to suck me in like that, you know, into a movie and get into his role and actually start to like him, change my mind about him, you know, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good to be able to do that.
Right. That just shows you the level of acting that he can actually do when he has
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
script in
he's
front
good.
of him.
He's good. And then, of course, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio is brilliant and everything, and so is Jack Nicholson. I mean, they really went all out when they went, you know, started doing all the casting and everything. They got some really good picks, you know. Yeah.
They definitely did. Another thing too that I also want to mention about this film was the fact that, you know, I like how it plays both sides. I like it knows what it is and it has this identity of knowing what it is. And I don't know about you, but I felt suspense all the way through this with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, especially whenever he's like, "Look, I'm not doing this with a wire or anything like that. I'm gonna do this straightforward without no wire or anything like that, and do this investigation. Otherwise, Frank is gonna wind up ripping the wire from him. And matter of fact, we actually saw him when we beat up those two people from Providence, saying Leonardo DiCaprio has that cast on him. He winds up taking Leonardo DiCaprio in the back, and then
Yeah.
in the back where the pool table is, and he's actually slamming his arm against the pool table. And then after that, you thought that wasn't enough to remove the cast. He takes Leonardo DiCaprio's work boot and just starts hitting him on the arm.
And then the one time that they put a wire on Leonardo DiCaprio, they Jack Nicholson pulls out a fucking human hand and he takes a ring off, that he just cut off somebody that day. You know what I'm saying? So Leonardo DiCaprio's seeing all this and he's wearing a fucking wire the whole time. So he goes into the bathroom, rips the wire off, and he ends up telling, Mark Wahlberg and the other character, I can't think of his name right now, but he tells them, I'm not,
Queenan.
I'm not wearing a fucking wire ever again and all this, So that was cool. That was very suspenseful. And I mean, like, when you've never seen the movie, your heart's beating fast and you're like, oh shit, get out of there, man. Yeah.
Exactly. And, and also too, he goes, John Lennon once said, if you give me a tuba, I'll play the fuck out of it. And I look at you and I'm wondering, what can I use you for?
Yep.
And I love that line because it actually shows you is like he's working in his head. What can I use him for? I know he's good with violence. I know he's edgy. I know that he doesn't take no shit. But is he too edgy for my crew? And is he going to be someone that's going to snap on everybody? Or is he going to be someone that's going to turn later on? You can see the wheels turning in Costello's head.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And everything.
And he just...
So that was something...
It didn't surprise me because I knew Jack Nicholson is great in everything he does. But, I mean, it was... I mean, he did a really good job in this role, man. Like, he played it, to the T of how a gangster's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Of how they are,
Most definitely. And then, I really like too, like you mentioned before, with Jack Nicholson's character, was the fact that he can be dark, grotesque. He can be all the layers that you need him to be
dark,
in this
grotesque,
film.
And funny at times, because they.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. Every gangster that we know from film and all, they all have a sense of humor. They all throw a little something in there.
Right. It's just very dark.
Our type of humor.
Definitely. Our type of humor. Very psychotic.
As we just seen on the last episode of The Sopranos podcast with us. We have a very dark sense of humor.
But another thing too that I want to mention is Frank's other quote that I like is, when I was your age, they would say you could become a cop or a criminal. Today, what I'm saying to you is this: when facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
That's right. And he in a way, he's got a point. In a way, he's got a point about that.
And I like the look that Billy says. He goes, I could kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I could be you. But I don't want to be you.
That's right. And then Jack Nicholson's like, how's he say it? Heavy as the head that wears the crown. That's what he says. He said that
heavy,
kind of thing.
Heavy is the... right. It's heavy on the very start of that quote.
Yeah.
And it also goes to show you, it's kind of relatable to Tony Soprano in a way, when people think that he can do anything he wants because he's the boss, and he probably has the high life of being the boss. And then heavy is the crown. That's actually the same way with this.
It's but yeah, and basically Leonardo DiCaprio is just just reassuring him, that I don't want to take your spot, man, and and also he's basically saying I'm not the fucking rat. You know what I'm saying? But even though he is,
right,
and he's very believable, very fucking believable, and even all the way up, to where he starts taking Oxycontin and shit just to kind of numb himself, because he's seeing so much shit, so much violence and illegal activity. He's and we forget sometimes that he is a cop, and even if a cop is undercover and he's been undercover for years, he's still a cop. So he's got to see this shit, that's illegal and all these bad things, and he has to act like a criminal. So it eats him up. So he starts taking these drugs and shit to kind of numb it out, and he plays that part well. I mean, it actually it's difficult for actors. I'm not an actor, but I'm sure it's difficult for people to play somebody that's addicted to drugs. It's very difficult because you're not addicted to drugs. Now, the only way to know is to be around somebody that has been addicted to drugs. So he did his research and he did a good job with that, with the pills and shit. And then, and that goes with acting anyway. He played a really good part in Basketball Diaries. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
Yeah, Basketball
man, that was
Diaries was really
phenomenal. And
good.
he could play the shit out of that kind of part. So what I'm saying is, he plays the bad guy very well, but like I said, we always forget. We forget sometimes that he's a cop, so he plays both angles very well, very well.
Right. And not only that, but also too, undercover cops can also become part of that lifestyle as well, to the point where they
Right.
actually get
Yeah.
sucked in
Right. And
into
that's
that world.
not to change the subject, but you ever seen that movie In Too Deep with Omar? I think it was Omar Epps and LL Cool J.
No, but Donnie
Donnie
Brasco is a
Brasco.
similar situation.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I meant. So Donnie Brasco, and then In Too Deep. In Too Deep's one you should check out, man. That's a really good one. Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Very good.
I'll definitely do that. Uh, so another thing though that I want to talk about that I thought that was really good, something that actually stood out for me, was of course when you have Leonardo DiCaprio, you have Matt Damon, and he's tailing Matt Damon
Mm-hmm.
into the movie theater, and you know Matt Damon doesn't even know who Queenan actually has that's actually undercover, and then all of a sudden the street lights with the security camera
Mm-hmm.
winds up catching him, and then Matt Damon goes in and tries to see
Yeah.
who is actually following him. But those cameras didn't even pick up his face or anything, so all he got was like a back shot of Leonardo DiCaprio with maybe a little side shot of his face, but
Right.
not enough to
Right.
actually go on.
So yeah, that was that screwed his
But
plans up when all he could see is the back, and he's like, shit. Yep.
but I also like when Leonardo DiCaprio tells Queenan and them is like, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and flush him
Yeah.
out, flush out the rat that's inside your office. I'm telling you, it's real. They're leaking information. You need to go on ahead and do it. And Dunham is like, Dignam is like, how the fuck are you gonna, how are we gonna do that? Huh? Answer me that. And then Leonardo DiCaprio tells him, what you do is you go on ahead, you say that there's something, the wiretapping in Costello's apartment or whatever, and then you flush him out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's a good plan.
It was a good plan, and it
It did.
actually worked in his
It
favor
did.
though. Towards
Yep.
the end of the film,
What did you think about the I can't think of her name, but the woman that played the psychiatrist? What did you think about her?
that would, matter of fact, I actually have her name written down. That is Vera from
Okay.
Farminga.
I
I
did
liked
too.
her part, to be
I
honest
did
with you.
too.
I thought she did really
I did
good.
like that.
I like the back and forth and the sassiness
Mm-hmm.
between her and Matt Damon. Because whenever he's flirting with her on the elevator, he goes, I don't need their number or anything like that. I'm a
Yeah.
detective. I don't need it," and acts like he's gonna throw it away.
And then
He goes,
and
he goes, "Nah, I'm just fucking with you.
of
I need
course, she ends up messing with both of them. You know what I'm saying? Of course.
right." But at the same time, I believe that Leonardo DiCaprio's figured it out, though, that maybe this guy might actually be someone that would actually
Mm-hmm.
go after someone like her,
Yeah. Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But also, too, Leonardo DiCaprio also winds up getting kicked out of her office
Yeah.
after one session because he
Yeah.
wants the
Yeah. He
medication
wants enough to maybe kill himself.
and drown out all the thoughts and everything else,
So
which is
yeah,
totally
for
normal and
sure, for
everything if you
sure.
actually think about it.
Yeah, when you're in that situation, man, you got to do what you got to do. You know.
But another thing, too, is this is another thing I wanted to bring up is, with Matt Damon's character, he does the civilian life. He winds up dating a psychiatrist, which is Madeline, and he sees her professionally as a part of his probation, which is actually uh, Leonardo DiCaprio's probation. And at that point, the MSP is ready to catch
Right.
Costello selling the microprocessors. Now, the microprocessor
What
stuff
is
made
that?
me laugh a little bit because he goes, "In this
Yeah.
country, we you what was the actual quote? He said, "In this country, you bring the money, we bring the money, you
That's
bring the
it. No
merchandise.
ticky, no
No
laundry.
ticky, no laundry."
And the way he's like, no ticky, no, yeah. That shit's funny.
And then, of course, they
Yeah.
also really have this whole entire place bugged, and I liked how they actually did this, where we actually know the police work on their side of how hard they actually have to go through to actually get the bugs inside this building that they're supposed to be in, the surveillance that they're supposed to be in, and the hours and time that they actually take to actually
And then that
catch
poor
somebody.
fucking guy that set up the cameras, he sets the cameras up and they end up going to a spot that they can't see anything. And Alec Baldwin's character flips out on him. He busts his ass.
He winds up punching him to the ground and everything, has a tussle with the guy. The poor guy doesn't have anything to do with it or anything like that. Matt Damon is
Exactly.
the one who's actually
Exactly.
pushing all the buttons. And But they do have one cell phone that's actually
Yep.
up, and it so happens to be Leonardo DiCaprio is actually doing talking to Quentin and everything. And I like how you can definitely tell
Oh
technology
yeah.
in
Oh
'06
yeah.
was totally different
Besides
now
that, honestly, besides that little part,
because the
or it's not a little part, but with the cell phones. Besides that, it looks. I mean, it holds up, man. Because when you said 2006, I didn't realize it's that old of a movie. I was thinking like, I don't know, shit, 2016, 2015, but it's actually an older movie, but it holds up, man. It still holds up
right,
today, for sure. Yeah,
it still
for
holds
sure,
up
for
with
sure.
some minor technology and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but it still holds up as a whole. But I like how he's in his pocket. He's actually just texting a little dollar symbol to let him know that the drop is being
Yep.
made, the money is there. So even though they don't have the security cameras or anything like that, he still has a way of inside and everything. And Quentin goes,
Right.
it's just chill. Quentin is just chill as hell. He's like, they're doing the drop. The people are there. Meanwhile, you have Alec Baldwin who's just going ape shit on
Beat,
everybody.
beating up the tech guys and shit that ain't doing nothing wrong. Poor guys.
No, absolutely. And then, of course, after all this happens, then Costello, Jack Nicholson's character, actually thinks that he has a rat inside
Mm-hmm. Yep.
his crew.
And this is where he cut. Uh, after they do
And,
the drop
you
off
know,
with the money and stuff, this is where he starts asking, like, insinuating that Leonardo DiCaprio is the rat because he comes up behind him and he's like going like a rat and shit, And yeah, that part's hilarious to me. I love that
right.
part.
That's actually one of my favorite parts, too, to be honest with you, because he
Yep.
actually questions
Yep.
him. Remember? Because he actually left, because that was during the time when
Right.
Matt Damon was
Right.
trying to get the Social Security numbers. And he left during that time. And the reason why they're getting the Social Security numbers is because Matt Damon's like, look, I can find out who your rat is if you give me the Social Security numbers to your crew. And you can definitely tell
Right.
that Frank is not okay with that. But he knows in order
Mm-hmm.
to flush out the rat, he has to do it. So Leonardo DiCaprio gives them his Social Security
Right.
number and everything, and he walks off. And Frenchie's like, which is also the
Mm-hmm.
other henchman that's actually part of Frank's crew, he says, "Hey, where are you going?" He goes, "I'm not fucking staying here or
Mm-hmm.
anything. I'm going out. I'm done." So he goes out, he
Yeah.
goes and sees a
And
psychiatrist and bangs her
Comfortably Numb. I was about to say that.
with
That was a
Comfortably
very
Numb.
cool remake of that song. You know what I'm saying? A cover of that song from
Yeah, Van Morrison, and I forgot who else did
Comfortably
the
Numb was originally
remake of
Pink
that.
Floyd. I don't know who did the remake. Yeah, I have no idea.
Right. I want to say Van Morrison or something like that. I have to
Uh,
look at it because I used to have the Departed soundtrack, and that's going to
yeah,
drive me
they had
nuts.
a few good songs on that soundtrack. I mean,
But
you had Dropkick Murphys, you had that Comfortably Numb song, and I can't think of any. I remember they had like 3 or 4 other really good ones on there.
they definitely do. I'm going to have to
Yep.
look up the soundtrack itself later on.
And I know
I
this,
might actually
and I know
rebuy it
this isn't
again
a Sopranos
on
podcast,
iTunes.
but they do have a little cameo of the Departed soundtrack on. I think it was the 6th season with Chris. Yep.
It was the
Yeah.
sixth. Yep,
So
it
yeah,
was the Kennedy
that was cool.
episode.
But anyway, back to the Departed.
Okay. Okay. So like I said, I think that this part was actually pretty good. It leads up to Leonardo DiCaprio talking to the psychiatrist and everything. He goes, "Look, I just hope this is not inappropriate or anything like that. I just came over here." And she goes, "No, no, no. I still have the lease and everything. It's still not up yet. You're not even a patient anymore. You're
Yeah.
just a
Right.
friend visiting me, pretty much."
Mm-hmm.
And also, too, she also moves in with Matt Damon. This is actually just me going back just a little bit because I do want to talk about this. She does move on with Matt Damon. She answers the phone in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson's on the line, and he goes, "Is Colin there?" And it sounds like that he has one of those problems where he's actually smoking, like how people
Yeah,
have
they got the
this
thing on
problem
their
whenever they
throat.
smoke
Yeah.
too much cigarettes or whatever, and they actually have
Mm-hmm.
to talk. Right. And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's this guy that works with me
Mm-hmm. Yep.
over at my job." I'm like, dude, you could at least say that he was this guy's an informant
Yeah,
who's
that
actually
was his
out on the
problem
street
with her,
getting you
man. Is he
information.
tried to lie and bullshit too much. I think if he would have been more honest with her, I think it would have it would have worked.
Right, exactly. But you can definitely tell that his guard is down whenever he's with her
Oh yeah,
because
for
his
sure,
mind is just like all
definitely.
scattered and all over the place. Because even Costello tells him, "Look, you need if you like banging little Miss Prist,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know
Yeah, I don't
how
remember.
he actually
It was
said it.
funny. I know it was funny how he said it. I
You
remember
need to
laughing, but
focus
I
on the
just don't
job."
remember exactly what he said. Yeah.
Right. And he said, "Or else somebody else is gonna
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
fucking her with his cock."
Yeah.
And
Right. Right.
we saw the outcome with that. He just didn't think it was gonna be
Yeah.
Costigan
Right. Right.
banging Matt Damon's girl though,
It was. It was.
which I thought that was actually pretty funny. And then, of course, there was also the other thing that actually happens after all that actually happens, and that's when Jack Nicholson winds up saying, "Well, why did you leave early?" Because he doesn't really question him. He goes, "You got a girlfriend?" He goes, "Ex-wife." Uh, you can
Right.
tell that he's
Right.
actually trying to put stuff together on why he left early. He doesn't question him. He just wants to actually give him enough
Mm-hmm.
information to where he's actually dangling on the string to where
Right.
he can feed
And you
him
know
the
how
information that he wants
complicated
to
that's got
hear.
to be. That you are the rat. You're the snitch. But every time you go in there, you got to act like you're not the snitch. That's got to be freaking hard, man. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be stressful as shit too. God.
It really does. And not only that, but if you wind up being too edgy or you
Mm-hmm.
know how kids fuss is like, "I didn't do that,"
Right.
or anything, which you already know that that person did that,
Exactly.
you can
Yeah.
come off as
It's
that
a
like
thin
that
line,
though
man.
too.
That's tough. It's
So
tough. It's got to be.
and then like I said, he's over there
Mm-hmm.
feeding him that it's like
Mm-hmm.
ex-girlfriend, married. Uh, he goes through all the questions and everything. If I was
Yeah,
Leonardo
that's
DiCaprio, I
it.
would say,
That's all
"Look,
he's
I
got to
have a
say.
fuck buddy, and that's it."
Yep. That's all he's got to say.
And she wanted it was a booty call,
Mm.
right?
Just keep
But no,
talking.
he
That's
doesn't.
it.
He just
Yep.
lets Frank just talk.
Yep.
And I like the fact that he just keeps on making him talk,
Yeah,
because the more he talks,
yeah.
the more pissed
Oh
off he is.
yeah.
And I like what he says. He goes, "I got this rat, this nine
Oh yeah.
teething
There's a
rat."
pretty funny gif with them doing that. That's pretty funny.
It is. And then he goes, "You know what I like about restaurants? I like watching people eat." And because you can always tell how
Oh
someone
yeah.
eats and how they act around you. Because they're,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
then he does the thing with the teeth again, with the click. And then he goes, "You need to eat something. You're hungry." He goes, "No, I'm good. I'm good."
Yeah.
"No, you need to eat something." And then finally, he realizes that, Costigan is not the rat or anything like that. He ends up touching his chest. I
Right.
think that was
Right.
just
Right.
him trying to confirm that there wasn't a wire there, like
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yep.
like Tony did with Puss. And then after that happens, Frenchie comes in and sits down. He goes, "From now on, when we tell you to stay, you stay." And then at that point,
Yeah.
Jack
He's
Nicholson is
behind him
still
going.
doing the rat face behind his back. He goes, "Sorry, Frenchie. Sorry. I need to get a drink. And I need to get my cigarettes." That part made me laugh. Every
Mm-hmm.
single time that actually happens, that makes me laugh. Then, but I like how Leonardo DiCaprio is also introduced
Oh
to
yeah.
Frenchie, and I'm
Yep.
going
I
back a
forgot
little
about
bit
this part.
again because I forgot about this. Because remember, two guys from Providence is going on ahead and trying to get this guy in the diner to pay them, which is, I think, is part of some other people that are
Mm-hmm.
trying to just, some Italian guys, I guess, some rivals of Frank's, is
Mm-hmm.
actually trying to get money from him. He's like, "Look, I don't have the money to actually spare. I don't have the money for this, for the protection or anything like that." Next thing you know, Leonardo DiCaprio just goes out of nowhere and just
Mm-hmm.
punches the guy, gets out the coat rack, and hits the guy
Yeah.
and everything, and then
And
walks out of
and
the
and that's when he
diner.
broke his hand. Yep.
And right,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when we get introduced to Frenchie, and of course he's sitting at the bar, and this one guy's giving him a hard time. He goes, "Cranberry
Yeah.
juice, huh?
Yep.
What are you, on your period?" And then of course, in comes Frenchie. He goes, "I'm here to tell you. I'm the guy who tells you there are guys you can hit, and there are guys you can't. Now, that's not quite a guy
Yeah.
you can't hit, but it's also a guy you can't hit. So I'm fucking ruling on it right now. That you hit him, that you don't hit him. Understand?" Which is also the guy at the bar that
Yeah. Yeah. That's the with the
Costigan wound up
the
hitting.
cranberry juice. Yep. That was funny. Yeah, that was a good
So
part.
I thought that was really good. And it goes to show you saying, look, just Frank is the muscle, but I'm
That's right.
also his
Right.
backup, so you do not fuck with him or me.
Yep.
So anyways, so we got that. Then Costigan
Oh
follows
boy. Yep.
Costello into the theater.
And it's not just a regular
The theater
theater.
part made me laugh.
It is a triple X
No,
porn theater. Yeah. So.
theater.
Oh really?
Which
Shit.
I know where that's actually located at.
I don't
Sadly.
understand.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't about the movie or anything, but I just don't understand how somebody can go into a movie theater like that and please themselves. You know what I'm saying? There's other people around. No, man.
I wouldn't even
No,
want to
fuck
sit
that.
down in that
That is
theater, to be
weird,
honest
man.
with you. This
No,
is like
that's some
pre-COVID.
weirdo
I
shit,
still would
man.
not sit in that theater.
No, no,
I wouldn't
shit,
be
no.
comfortable. I
God,
would not be
it probably
comfortable in that theater,
stinks.
to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
would be like
yeah,
Dexter
no shit.
getting a saran
Yeah.
wrap. Yes. And just doing it that way. But even then, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
just doing.
that's
I'm
right.
good at the
And
comfort of my own
but
home.
back to what you were saying, fucking Matt Damon walks in, he's looking for Jack Nicholson, and this guy stands up wearing a fucking trench coat and this like hat so you can't see his face. and he pulls out a fucking dildo and acts like it's his dick. And he's like, "Ugh," and and Matt Damon's like, you can see Matt Damon's
Right.
face like, what the fuck's
But
happening? And it's Jack Nicholson fucking with him.
you know what though? I wonder if that was improv. Like it wasn't even in the script. And Jack was like, you know what? I want to get a dildo and have a trench coat on, and just like, oh yeah. And then then all of a sudden, there's
His
Matt Damon's
expression,
expression.
that was that dude. That looked too
If I
real.
was
His
him,
expression looked too real to be fake. I mean, that shit. That was funny. That was really funny.
right?
I laughed my ass off when I first saw that.
But I like the fact that they actually did this in the theater like that, because nobody would actually think
Right.
that two people would
Right.
actually talk in the theater about stuff like this, you know? And it also makes you, if people are tailing him, it'd be like, okay, why is he going into a triple X theater?
Right.
You know, I mean, so it'd be like, you know what? We're not
And
even going to go in there.
dude, I'm sorry.
But Leonardo,
I was gonna say, little did they know that Leonardo
no,
DiCaprio
go
was
on.
actually in there as well, watching them.
Right, and that's what I was going to get at and everything.
Yeah.
He's a
He
couple of
saw,
seats behind him. He's
and he
listening
saw
in
the
on the
whole dildo
conversation,
trick and all
and
that
that's
shit.
also
He saw all of it. Yeah.
right. That made me laugh even
Yeah,
more
and now he's thinking
because
like,
now
what kind
he's
of
in on
fucking
the
people
joke
are
as
these,
well.
man? What kind of weirdos?
Right. Then also too, you also have to think of it like this, and that is the fact that um these are people are two
Oh yeah,
weirdos for
for sure.
starters. He's a psychopath. Frank is a psychopath and everything, but also too, it's not out of character for Frank to go to a movie theater. But I also like it when Matt Damon's character turns around, Colin says, um, "Isn't it kind of weird to be meeting over here? Because I own the theater." He goes, "Why
Yeah,
am I not fucking
ain't that the
surprised?"
truth?
So right. So he's making money on both ends and everything. I also like the quote though, between Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson's character also, where he says, "I haven't needed money since I took Archie's money in the fifth grade. I
Right?
don't need pussy,
Yep.
but I enjoy it."
Oh yeah.
So because remember he asked him, he goes, "Frank, why do you need this and everything if you
Mm-hmm.
have all this money?"
Oh yeah.
And that's whenever
I
he
like
winds up telling him.
when he's messing with those two with his wife.
So
I'm talking about Jack Nicholson's character. He's about to have like a threesome with his wife and some other chick, and he's like picks up the coke and he throws it on him and shit. I just thought that was a cool scene, man. That was a really cool scene.
I did too, and I don't know about you, but I felt a
Yeah.
little bit of the devil inside of him.
Yep.
Like you saw,
Oh yeah.
like this devil, devil
It's his
look
eyes, the way
in
he's
the
looking
cloud
at the
of the
camera. It's
cocaine.
like he looks psychotic. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, this is also where, of course, in the movie theater too, where they trade off the citizen, where Matt Damon
Yep.
gets the citizen
That's right.
envelope with the social security numbers on there, and then he walks off, and that's when Leonardo DiCaprio is over there tailing him. His phone goes off. Queenum texted DiCaprio to tell him to tail him. I don't know about you. When I
Oh yeah.
first saw that,
For
I
sure.
was in suspense. I'm like, oh
Yep,
shit,
for sure, definitely.
is
And
this
I
going to
mean,
be it?
Matt Damon is ahead of Leonardo DiCaprio, and he ends up stabbing a fucking like a what was it a cook that was in the alleyway because he thought it might have been whoever was following him, and he jumps out and stabs the guy. Mm-hmm. And what's
Right, I remember
crazy?
that.
What's
And
absolutely
then
nuts is nothing
then
comes.
of course,
Nothing comes out about that. Fucking Matt Damon stabbed a guy on. He's a cop,
no,
and he stabbed some guy and got away with it, and that was never mentioned again. you know.
my my thing is this. I'm thinking number
Yeah,
one, he's a
yeah.
cop,
Especially
so
he's a
therefore
cop
he
and
could
he's
probably
high up.
clear it
You know what
up.
I'm saying? So yeah, for sure.
Right, and not only that, but even with the security cameras, they
Yeah,
weren't like in the best working
right,
condition. If
right.
you actually think about it, and his back was also faced, so it could have been just about anybody. And in Boston, though, too,
Yeah, yeah.
stabbings and stuff like that happen all the time. So it's like, okay, this is just
Right,
another
right.
mugger that we're actually looking for. Wouldn't even, in matter of fact, I don't even know if the Stadies would actually
Right,
handle something
right.
like that. That's actually so small,
Right.
you
But
know.
yeah, I thought that sucked for
But
that guy. You know, he's just taking the trash out in the alleyway and he gets stabbed. He was like, fucking poor bastard. Yeah.
I feel bad for the dude. He was just minding
Yep.
his own business and everything, and just working. But it also gives you a chance of some realism,
Yeah.
though, with it, though,
Yeah,
too,
for sure.
because everyday life,
That's right. Yep.
because
For
anything
sure.
could happen at any given time. So okay, so we have the civilian meets with Queenum and advised to follow Costello to find his rat. Costello waits for for civilian to find the rat and to Constantine to take the day off. Okay, this is where Matt Damon's character winds up trying to figure out who the rat is and everything. Costello tells, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Constantine to go ahead and take the day off
Mm-hmm.
because he has some new guys in the crew. And of course, at that point too, once again, he doesn't Costello does
Right.
not Frank does not
Right.
trust Leonardo DiCaprio at all. And it's such a smooth move on the way he actually does
Mm-hmm.
it because he's covered in blood and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yep.
what? I'm gonna get some new guys involved
Yeah.
and everything. You go on here and just take a rest. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about you, but if I work for someone
Oh
like
yeah, that
Frank,
right.
that
That's a
actually
red
means
flag
watch your
for
back
sure. You know what I'm saying?
because
If I'm Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm scared shitless. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh boy.
and then of course,
Mm-hmm.
he actually meets up with Queenan as well up on that
Yeah.
that building on the very top floor. But if you notice in the background, there's
No,
actually
no,
X's.
I didn't notice that.
I don't know if you noticed that. Get this. There's actually X's marked
Really?
throughout this whole entire movie. There's a little bit of foreshadowing. Yeah. There's one where Matt Damon is entering his building again after all the shit goes down with Frank, and once he shoots him and everything, and then as he's walking into
Really?
the building,
I
there's
might have to
actually
go back
written
and see that.
X's. Yeah, there's actually a couple of scenes. I think I did an
Okay,
article a
cool,
while back
cool.
about it, but I'll send you the article out too. But yeah, there's a lot of things on this
Okay.
film though, as far foreshadowing. But you know, Leonardo's like, look, you got to pull me out of this thing. I
Right.
need you to get me out of this as quickly as you can. And also, too, he also visits Queen in another
Yeah.
time at his own
Yeah.
house, making sure he's not tealed
Mm-hmm.
as well. But, they're on top of this building, this abandoned building under construction or whatever it is. And,
Yeah.
Queen is like, I think you've been tealed. And Matt Damon does wind up tealing him because of the fact that they're
Yeah.
investigating that there might be a rat inside their
Yep.
building in the police headquarters. So you actually have Matt Damon who's actually trying to do the same thing that Leonardo DiCaprio is doing, trying to convince everybody that he's not a rat. So therefore, he's going to try and investigate as many people inside the police headquarters as he can. But instead, he winds up tailing Queenum. To me, I
Mm-hmm.
think he should have went on ahead and tailed somebody else
Mm-hmm.
or investigated somebody else before actually doing that. But you can definitely tell this is
Right.
definitely a
Right.
rookie mistake that he actually made
Mm-hmm. And
when doing
I'm
something
just
like
now
that.
kind of putting it together. As many times I've seen the movie, probably 3 or 4 times, and you know, in a way, Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio are both playing the same part, but from different angles. That's all they're doing. I never
Yep.
fucking noticed that until just now. No
Yeah.
shit. That's pretty fucking wild, man. That's a really cool concept.
It is a very. I love that concept though because they think that they're doing. Matt Damon thinks that he's doing something right because that's actually
Mhm.
someone that he has actually looked up to at a younger age, and then you have Leonardo DiCaprio who knows that he's on the right side of the law,
Right.
but he needs to go in here and
Hmm.
bring Costello
Yeah.
down, and
Very
also
cool.
the rat that's involved.
Very cool concept.
So they're both similar. So Constantine calls Queen in to meet, like I said, civilian Sullivan, which is actually played by Matt Damon's character, has Queen tailed to the meeting. When Costello's men arrive, Queenum helps Constantine in the tell him to escape through the fire escape. But all the way through this and everything,
Hmm.
Leonardo DiCaprio is being tailed
Yep.
all the way to that abandoned building, and so is Queen and because remember, Leonardo DiCaprio looks like Queen and he goes, I think you're being tailed. He goes, I don't think so. And then that's
Hmm.
when
Yeah. And
they
that's
go to
when
that
Leonardo
abandoned building.
DiCaprio gets that text on his phone, right? Oh, is that what it was?
Actually, he gets a phone call from this other guy, from one of, yeah, remember? Uh, so this is what happens. He winds up escaping down the fire escape. The guys from Costello's crew goes up into the elevator, and he goes, "Where's your boy at?" And then of course Quinn is like, "Oh, he's going to Boston. He's over at Harvard and everything. He's graduating." Next thing you know, they wind up throwing him off the roof. And then that's when DiCaprio gets the
That's
call
right.
from the other
Yep.
guy in the crew. And that's when
Yep.
Fitzy
Yep.
tells him the wrong address,
And what was
but he
his
winds up
point
meeting him
of
at the
doing
right
that? Was his
address.
point? I can't remember. It was his reason of doing that to show that he was that Leonardo DiCaprio was the rat.
Okay, so
I've
my
always been
idea,
confused. I've been
because
confused on that part.
what
You
I
know what I'm
like about
saying?
Martin Scorsese is right,
Mm-hmm.
and you see, this is what I like about Martin Scorsese though
Right.
is this: it allows us to speculate a little bit
That's
because
right.
he doesn't
Yeah.
actually tell us why he did it the way he did it. So what I'm thinking is Fitzy was just in a panic that day because of
Mm-hmm.
everything that's been going on. He was in a rush to get to the building.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave him the wrong address on an accident. So Frenzy gets shot,
Mm-hmm.
but there's actually a deleted scene. And because I was actually wondering this in my head, because I've always thought, okay, maybe he's an FBI informant, maybe he's
Mm-hmm.
undercover, maybe that's why he
You
didn't
talking about
rat
Fitzy,
him
right?
out.
We're talking about Fitzy right now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's the line yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe he was like an FBI agent or another informant
Yeah,
of Whedon's.
that's kind of
Maybe
what I
that's
was
why he didn't
thinking too,
rat him
because
out.
he is a cop.
But
They find out later that he is a cop, right? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
actually, no.
Because
It
I
just
thought,
allows us to speculate.
yeah, but didn't they
He
find his
died
body
and
in
just
the
throws him
marsh,
in the
and then like
marsh.
the people on the news say that he was a cop, or was that just to throw them off?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think they
don't
did.
know,
But then, but on
to
that
be
part, I
honest with
know
you.
Jack Nicholson's all pissed off because they didn't bring him far enough in the marsh.
Right. We're going to get to that in a minute because that's actually one of my
Yeah.
other favorite lines that he actually talks
Okay.
about. But let's get back with Fitzy for a minute
Hmm.
here. He's actually dying, he's bleeding out, and he turns to Leonardo DiCaprio, tell me why I didn't rat you out. In the deleted scene, he said that Costello said, you know what? You've been part of my team for 10 years. You've been a
Hmm.
great person for 10 years of service to me. I need you to do me a favor. When you see the rat,
Mm.
I need you to kill him. And that's in the deleted scene. And Fency turns around and says this. He goes, I don't know if I can actually
Hmm.
kill him or not. So there's
Oh.
that little thing.
Yeah, I watched a
So
little bit
that's in
of
the
it, but I wasn't
deleted
able to
scene.
watch all of it a little while. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Right. Because I was actually wondering in that deleted scene if he was actually going to say, you know, why I
Hmm.
didn't do it
Yeah,
was because maybe I
yeah.
was a cop or something like that to that extent. All right, so let's get into the part where the guy winds up with Jack Nicholson
Yeah.
gets pissed off at him for throwing him in the marsh, and this made me laugh my ass off. He goes, and the guy's just over there cracking up laughing. He goes, "It's not fucking funny." He goes, "This is not reality fucking TV." And he turns around and he says, "You do not throw him in the marsh where someone goes and gets a BJ every Saturday." And then that's when the dude is just cracking up laughing. This is not fucking funny. And I love the fact that he uses "this is not reality TV" because the news anchors are bringing it to life like it's reality TV. So, and he's actually bringing
and
out to
that
life that this
Boston
is
accent
reality.
comes out when he says mosh, because
So,
he says mosh in the mosh.
mosh.
That was good. That was a good scene.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you were right though. He did. A matter of fact, in my notes, I
Yeah,
did
that's
have
what
him
I
down as an
thought.
undercover cop.
But it was really brief. It was brief. You remember, like because they didn't really talk about it too much. You know.
Right. And then remember, the guy was like, "Do you think he was really a rat?"
Yeah, that's right. And then they're thinking that
Remember?
they just did that to throw him off. Yeah. And see, that's what I'm confused about, because we don't know if he was actually a cop or not. We just know what the news was saying, what the media was saying, and maybe that was, the cops trying to make Jack Nicholson think that, oh, we got the rat's dead now, so everything's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
Right. I think
That's
so.
that's what I was
That would actually
thinking.
make sense.
I didn't think he was really like a rat. You know what I mean? I didn't think so. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio was the only rat in the crew.
Right. So did I. But then you realize too that the reason why that they weren't able to make any arrest on Costello was because he was an informant for the FBI. Right. So that's also another thing I was thinking too, was maybe he was like an FBI agent investigating this whole entire thing as well. And maybe he has some connection with Creedon to where he can keep an eye on him.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
that's
what
a lot
makes
of
it
speculation.
Fun. You know what I'm saying? It makes it fun to kind of come to your own conclusions about things. And now that I hate to bring up The Sopranos again, but you know how we are. We're always bringing up The Sopranos. But shit, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? What was I saying?
You're saying that it goes back to The Sopranos,
no, I can't.
probably with pussy?
I completely lost it. I don't remember what I was going to say.
But yeah, it's going back to The Sopranos. You and I both like The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But,
I have no idea.
I don't know where you were going with it, to be honest. But I like it. I like that though. And then
speculating and coming to your own conclusions.
We talked
back to The Sopranos. The way the whole series ended, how it just the screen goes black and you don't know. So you have to speculate on what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. Now, I didn't like it in the beginning. When I first saw that, I was pissed. I was like, you got to be shitting me. They're going to leave it open like that. But now, that I've seen it a few times and I've come to appreciate it. Because now you can kind of make up what happens with Tony and the rest of them in your own head. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Right. And that's what I like. And
right,
it's like
exactly.
That with this movie too, because there's so much speculation. So you kind of come to your own conclusions about things. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
See, I knew it was something.
Let's see. We have Custon. Hey, it's okay. You found it. We're back on track now. But yeah, I'm glad that we're able to speculate. I like speculating rather than something being explained to me. Let's see. And then, of course, Constantine arranges to meet Sullivan. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the shootout that actually happens with the crew.
Scene, man. That was really cool. That whole shootout scene. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody dies.
Action-packed.
In this one.
For sure.
And I also want to mention this, too. Mm-hmm. This movie has a slow build-up in some ways. In some ways, it's fast-paced. But with this, it shows everything going to a head. Everything that we were
Just one big
watching and waiting
explosion.
for. Exactly. So this is actually what happens. Then, okay, so we have the shootout between Jack Nicholson and also Matt Damon. And, at that point, Matt Damon knows that he's an informant for the FBI. And also, too, he's like, did you rat me out, Frank? Did you? And he goes, I would never give you up. You're like a son? And next thing you know it, Jack Nicholson, you can tell Jack Nicholson's doing something funny and fishy in his jacket on his left-hand side. And he pulls out a gun, getting ready to pull out a gun to shoot him. Then Matt Damon shoots him once in the chest. He's already bleeding as it is. He's already shot on the side.
Right.
He's already dying. So just to speed up the process, Matt Damon goes on ahead and shoots him again. And then then all of a sudden the gun goes off again, but instead it doesn't even hit Matt Damon or anything like that. Right. It was just like a little after effect after he died, with him having it on the trigger, and it kind of ricocheted a little bit. And he shoots him again. He shot him like 3 times. Right. And you know what? And then also too, he takes his phone, just like he did with Queen's phone, whenever he got Leonardo DiCaprio's number and everything, and calls him up. I started thinking to myself, don't they dust my fingerprints?
You would think that's one of the first things they do.
But then again,
maybe not.
Well, don't forget too, we're also dealing with Matt Damon, who works for the police department, so it's no surprise.
High up.
But he did that.
Like he could pull some strings, for
right?
Sure.
Right. And also, too, this is also where Leonardo DiCaprio comes into the police department and everything else, tells him who he is. He tries to clear things up and everything. And and of course, Matt Damon's over there bullshitting him, saying that he has like the blue screen of death on his computer. He goes, I can't do anything with this fucking computer.
I like how you threw that accent in there.
See, Thanks. You see, I can actually go in between. Right. I can actually use it and not use it.
That's how I am with my Chalmette accent.
But he goes, that's funny. But yeah, he goes, this computer is all kinds of pixelated and shit. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to another computer. So he goes up to the computer.
Yeah, I saw that. In and out.
You see how I switched that? Thanks. So he goes up to the computer. And he looks up Costigan's name and everything. And then Costigan goes, while he's upstairs, Costigan's over here on his desk, and he sees the citizen envelope. And that's when he figures out that he's actually Frank's snitch. Okay, and then after that happens, they go back to where Queen no. It actually goes on ahead where it goes to DiCaprio and Madeline.
The shrink, yeah.
And... yeah, the shrink. And you can tell that she wants to tell him that she's pregnant, but she doesn't do it yet. Because remember, he hands her an envelope. He said in 2 weeks.
Wait, she wants to tell
you can tell me what you want to tell me.
What's going on, right? With her, that she's pregnant. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that she's pregnant with his kid.
And not just that,
because you can tell in her eyes.
If you remember correctly, Matt Damon wasn't fucking her because his equipment wouldn't work. Remember? Yeah. So it was definitely it had.
That's right. That's right.
DiCaprio's. Yep.
Right, but you can tell in her eyes and the way she looked, she's definitely had something that she wanted to say. And then, when he calls up. So anyway, she winds up listening to the recording, and of course, Matt Damon's in the shower. And next thing you know, everything comes out in the open that he is actually the rat. She's pissed off. She goes in her room. As a matter of fact, one of the lines that he used, he goes, "Well, I'm pretty good at lying. I'm pretty fucking good at that."
Yeah.
Aren't I, Frank?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like he's proud of it. He owned it. And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden he's trying to
right.
bullshit her. It's
So he's
not
not
working.
that good.
There's one thing. No, but
No,
not only
man.
that, but he
Yeah,
can't bullshit
that's
a
what they
shrink.
fucking go to school for, man.
Well, on top of that, though, a shrink that is also
Right,
primarily deals
right. They've
with
heard it all.
cops.
Yep.
Right. So him doing all this
No, it's
lying
not
and
helping
shit
this
is
case at
definitely
all.
not helping him. And then, of course, Constantine tells Sullivan to go ahead, meet him up where Queenan
Mm-hmm.
died, and he goes up to that building. And my favorite thing that Leonardo DiCaprio tells him is this. He said, I have a whole bunch of tapes that Frank had left me. Can you actually believe that? He
Yeah.
actually trusted me
Yep.
more than he trusted
Yep.
you
And that's
with the
mind blowing.
recordings,
Yeah. I mean,
if
even
anything
to the
happened.
to the viewer, to us, we hear that and we're like, holy shit, he trusted Leonardo DiCaprio more than than Matt Damon, who was basically his right hand man. That's crazy. That's crazy. His own snitch.
Right.
His own
His own
snitch.
snitch.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought that was funny. That he would
Yeah.
actually trust him
That
more
was
than
wild.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a good plot twist. And then Anthony Anderson's character comes up out of the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Look, I'm a cop. You know me. He's done this and that. He's a
Yeah.
dirty cop. You need to let me get rid of
Mm-hmm.
him. I need to arrest him." And he's like, "Well, you don't have anything on me or anything like that." I'm like, "Hello, he's got
Mm-hmm.
the even though he deleted your
Right.
identity,
And Anthony
he's got the
Anderson
tapes to prove it."
remembers Leonardo DiCaprio from the police academy. So he's got that too. It's like just trust me
Right.
for a little bit until we get to the fucking police station. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. But what I don't get is Anthony trusts him, but he still has the gun pointed to him. But also, too, you would think that he would actually go in the
Yeah.
elevator with
No.
DiCaprio
Yeah, I would definitely be taking the
rather
stairs
than
with him.
take the stairs. To me, I think it worked better with the elevator with
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson inside the elevator with DiCaprio.
Yeah.
That way he has a little bit more of a backup. Because I think that if he was in the elevator with
Yeah.
DiCaprio wouldn't have died.
Right.
There would have been a little bit more of a battle. Because remember, they're 2-2. There was only two. There
Yeah.
was only maybe
Yeah.
two
That's true.
guys that was there.
Right. Right.
So Leonardo had a leeway. But I here's the thing. I still was on the edge of my seat
Mm-hmm.
after this long period of time of not watching it, to where I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, when I know the scene is coming.
Right.
I know what's coming. I know Leonardo DiCaprio is gonna die. But for a split second, I ignored all that
Yeah.
and was like, watching it for the
Oh
first
yeah.
time,
And when those
hoping that
elevator
he would
doors
actually
open
live.
and he gets popped, I remember the first time I saw that, like I jumped. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was not expecting that at all. Not at all.
I wasn't either. That was my WTF moment.
Yeah.
I
Like,
was like,
what
in a
the
matter of fact,
fuck?
I actually said that out loud.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Exactly. Because I'm like, I was not expecting it. It comes out of nowhere. You're thinking
Mm-hmm.
that Leonardo
Yep.
DiCaprio is going to survive this movie, and he doesn't. And I was like,
Yep.
oh,
And
don't tell me
then
he dies in
the
this movie,
crazy
too.
part is it doesn't end there. It keeps going with crazy what the fuck moments.
No.
Because then the other cop, I can't think of his name, but it was Matt Damon's buddy.
Dignam.
Because he ends up, yeah, because
Oh, the one
he
that
ends
was a
up shooting
Stady. Yeah,
fucking
the one that
Anthony
was a Stady
Anderson.
at the very beginning.
You remember? And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Where did he come
Right.
from? Why did he do that? Because not Queenan, Jack Nicholson had him in his pocket too. Yep.
Right. And then next thing you know, Sullivan kills him.
Yep. Now
So
it's all
now it's a
fucked up.
double homicide. Right. Which, who's going to end up doctoring the whole entire thing up?
That's right.
Matt Damon
Yep.
is.
And then you got, the very end, Matt Damon thinks he's off scot-free. Everything's good. He's good to go. And he walks in his apartment, and what happens? Gets killed. And who?
Gets killed.
And by,
by Mark
Mark
Wahlberg.
fucking Wahlberg. I love, dude. Like I said, it was a small part, but he fucking killed it. Mark Wahlberg did out of nowhere.
Because he comes out of nowhere too. Because remember, he had to take a
Yep.
leave of absence for punching
Yep.
Matt
And
Damon in the
see,
face because he
the
knows
way
that
I
he's
put
the
it
rat.
together is, after Mark Wahlberg shoots him, he just I don't think he goes back into police work. I think he retires and he's done with that shit. He don't want anything to do with it anymore. And so he probably goes on and does
Right.
something else. But I don't think he goes back to being a cop after that. No way.
No, 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 absolutely not. Because remember, Alec Baldwin gave him 2 weeks'
Yeah.
pay of a
Oh
leave of
yeah.
absence. So he's done
That's
being a
right.
cop.
Yeah.
He's just a civilian that
Yeah.
killed
And he had
somebody.
those painter
That killed the
booties
cop.
on his shoes and shit, so he didn't leave his shoe prints and stuff. Very smart. Yeah, very smart.
Which was smart. That was actually smart. Okay, so another thing that I want to mention is I like how at the very end it pans
Yeah.
outside where the window is, where you see the Boston column. I think that's what it was. I forgot what
Mm-hmm.
the actual name of it is and everything, because I've seen that I see that all the time when I was in Boston, anyways. But I
Right.
forgot the name of the tourist attraction for it. But
Yeah.
then you see a
Yep.
rat go
Perfect.
across the
Perfect
screen.
ending.
Because if you
Yep.
think about it,
That's
though,
all
it
it
was
was,
all
man. It
about
was,
ratting each other
and
out.
like I said, I mean the two main characters, Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon, they're both rats, but from different angles. That's it. They're playing the same role, but from a different angle. You know what I mean? Yep. So, and then like you
Oh
said at the
yeah,
very end, they both end up dying. And what do they show at the very end? A fucking rat. Because what happens to rats, man? Exactly what happened
right.
to them. You know.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
foreshadowing I want to talk about the X's. There was X's placed where the elevator is, where
Mm.
Leonardo DiCaprio is getting ready to get killed, and that's
Oh no
actually an
shit.
X, meaning that
So
someone's gonna die.
throughout the movie, you can catch some X's
Yep,
where people get killed. No shit. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and see that.
yep.
Yeah.
Where Queenum is, where he gets thrown off the
No
thing, in
shit.
the background where the windows are,
Okay.
there's
That's cool.
X's. There's like a tape of X, and then when Mark Wahlberg gets in the apartment area in
No
the
shit.
hallway, there's red X's.
Oh
As a matter of
yeah.
fact, I just noticed tonight they were red, which is my way of saying
Right.
that's a
Right.
death
Yeah, it's
execution
pretty
waiting to
cool.
happen.
That's pretty cool.
So
For sure. For sure.
keep an eye out on that next time when you watch it. So, is there any closing thoughts that you
No,
want to actually talk about with
I
this
think
film,
that
or
pretty much
is
covers
that
it,
pretty
man. I
much
mean, like I
everything that?
said, this was a great film, man. I mean, even if you don't, because you don't necessarily have to be in the mafia stuff or anything to watch it. This is just a good gangster flick, man. Just a good, good story, a good crime movie. Yeah, good,
Crime
it's
movie?
good. Definitely a good watch for sure.
Definitely, and also too, if you guys are into like undercover work and stuff like that on what the process of getting a wire or anything like that, and a lot of the tax-paying dollars that goes into investigating something, this movie's up for you.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
movie is actually up your creek because of the fact that it gives you a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff
Hmm.
that cops
And
actually
how
have to go
deep they
through when
really have to
investigating certain
go,
crimes.
if they want to be undercover, you got to go extremely
Yep,
deep, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio did a great job on this.
most definitely. I definitely have to say that. I wish that he actually got an Academy
Yeah, which
Award for
is
this,
extremely
but he
surprising.
didn't. Okay, so another thing I want to actually mention is this. You know how you were
Hmm.
asking me about Costello's character? Guess what? It's actually based on
Oh,
a
okay, and
gangster from Whitey
it did
Bulger.
kind of have some Whitey Bulger feel to it, a little bit. Okay, no shit.
Right. So that I just want to point that out. That was just a little bit of trivia. If you guys were actually wondering about that, uh, not only that, but the Academy Awards I think
Really?
also debunked this movie too. The party was a critical and commercial success and won several awards, including Oscars at the 79th Academy Award for Best Picture, Best
Oh,
Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best
nice.
Film Editing. So, yeah, it definitely won that. Mark Wahlberg
Yeah,
was
that's
also
yeah,
nominated for
I
Best
can see
Supporting
that.
Actor.
And like I said, he really didn't have that big of a part, and to be nominated for something like that, that's huge, man.
No, to be honest with you, I thought it would
Yep,
actually been
yep,
either Charlie Sheen's father, Martin, that would actually get nominated for that, or I thought that it would actually be Alec Baldwin that would actually get
right,
nominated for
right,
that, since
right.
he had maybe a little bit of a
But
larger
they
part.
seen just like what we seen. They saw how good he played that small part. You know. Yep.
Right, exactly. So that's gonna be it for the show and everything. I just want to say thank you again, man, for being on the show, taking
Absolutely,
your
man.
time
Thank you
out
for
of your
having me.
day to talk about The Departed. You're welcome. And guys, I just want to point this out. I'm actually taking a break this week. This is actually going to be the only show that I'm going to have up and everything. And then next week, we're starting off again. And next Monday, I actually have my friend Dennis talking about his book that just came out and everything. And then on Thursday, I have Rossi McCree doing a Scarface review. So we're going to be doing that. And then, of course, guys, if you guys want to donate to the show, we actually have a GoFundMe page. You guys can actually check that out in the show notes in the description below. Another thing, too, is if you guys want all your entertainment needs and everything else for movie reviews, movie news, or anything, go to www.movieloversunite.com for all your entertainment needs and purposes that you guys find there. Also, too, this podcast is on all platforms that you can actually think of for your podcast needs. And then we also have a Pinterest for Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. You can also find us on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit. And also, too, you can follow me at John DeGorio8 on Twitter. Then on Instagram for Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. And then we also have a Pinterest for Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. You guys can find me there. And always